series. So whether or not the Grok comes through, I actually want to see which sides they'll be taking first. Because if Team Zone's on the red side again, oh, there you go. That's a Grok ban. Okay.
As expected, they want to play Assassin, so one thing that Zone maybe would want to consider if it's available for them, we've seen it pop up just a little bit more, but the first two picks, Hilda, really gives a little bit more room for your Assassin to shine, if ever. But there are still things to consider here, especially the Claude, the best marksman that we have in the game right now, and with an extremely high win rate. That's crazy that they banned out the Yi Sunshine, considering that they are blue side, though.
Yeah, I mean, are they trying to narrow down the hero pool in the jungle? Because they both use very similar jungle heroes, and we're talking about if they want to force out utility heroes from Zeuxora, that might be a great move.
Could be. While you are typing out your theories as per the draft decisions, of course, type out who you think will win this match. Go to the chat right now. Is it Zone or CFU? The votes are getting updated live in your screen, so you can check that out.
There's a Yuzhong, by the way.
There is a Yuzhong that's wide out in the open. I understand that CFU were looking for opportunities to be like, you know what, we're going to get the Claude anyways. At this point, how do we kind of slow down Zeuxora? Do we want something that is punishable, right? Hayabusa is punishable, Lancelot is punishable, especially when the real test is how often can you execute well in these team fights.
Wow.
So they go for the safe option, right? Yuzhong alongside with the Hylos. I'm not 100% sure on this Hylos just yet, but let's see what the next two picks from CFU are going to be.
I'm always okay with having a high loss around if there's a Claude. I mean, yes, it's very one-dimensional to just look at the Claude and say, hey, let's pick up the high loss for the easy stun. But we have seen it before this M7 that it has stopped or at least diminished Claudes a little bit. It's not a 100% oh, high loss straight up counters Claude. It just makes it a little bit easier to deal with.
Yeah, it
but
just
this
means
point
that
you'll take all the wins.
It just means that you can't like BMI right on top of somebody and then hold your flicker hoping that they would respond to it, right? And now CFU are going back into a really comfortable style of play. Right now, I'm expecting to see Box CCC, who, again, in his own region, 100% win rate when he gets his hands on that show. Lapu, another great way to kind of set up, knowing that Kenny might be the main focal point for the side of Z1.
So it's either do they pick up the hero for K here in Red 3 already, because the likes of the carry is still there. They just want to make sure that we'll get the usual Claude carry matchup. But if we're done with that, I don't mind. I don't mind seeing something else.
I think, personally, I think they need to go Lunox or something that has iframes to work with. It feels like it's very much CFU wants to make sure that Farsa is just a non-option for them.
So, is it the mid or is it the gold?
Oh, wait.
They still want to play the Farsa into the Claude, into the Cho, into the Lapu.
Yep.
Brave is an understatement.
Very brave. And I think that, again, Coach Summer has a really good idea of what the draft needs to look like. All right, we're sacrificing the mid lane, but we're immediately going to take out the utility junglers, right? I'm guessing the Fredrin's also going to be part of that second ban phase, but from CFU's side, do you just target gold laners? Get rid of the carries, get rid of the Rangers? Is there anything else that's relatively good here?
There's a Harith. Although the Cho Lapu.
No matter what, the marksman has to take the Purify, right? And they can't go double fighters because Yishin Shin's out.
We might end up seeing a gold laner here that maybe won't even pick up the Purify. It's still going to be tough, but there are very few teams who are willing to pick up a Flicker on their gold laner because they're thinking a little bit more about the repositioning. Right now, you don't even see the jungler for Zone. And with YSS Leomord getting taken out, there's not a lot of room anymore for Zone to go for a fighter in the gold and play a carry. Not a carry, but like their main carry option in the jungle. There's just not enough. There's no picks anymore that you can put in that slot.
Because even the Hayabusa might feel a bit pressured in this kind of lineup.
Yeah, with the Joy getting picked up, I think Zone just might have shown CFU that they're thinking about Granger.
They could, or they're giving the... Well, we'll see, right? Because I still think that they can pick up Fredrin for themselves, and then they can leave the question over to CFU to see what their full composition is. Oh, they go Hayabusa. They don't mind. Okay, so they go Hayabusa. If CFU decide to get Fredrin, they decide to go carry. If it's anything else, probably Granger, right?
They don't mind using the Farsa into this, nor the Hayabusa into this.
I mean, the carry is already banned, so I guess they're kind of backed into a corner. I mean, Bruno, I suppose, but even that doesn't feel that great.
Yeah. And there's just so much dive from CFU that if you even go something a little bit more static, like an Iksha, and you go pure backline, that's really going to be hard to pull off. Especially if CFU decides to pack in a tanky fighter jungler here. Fredrin's still open for them. They can definitely go down that route. If they want to go Fredrin, Kimi also, they're lacking the range, but they have so much dive that they won't need the range.
Possible Sora.
Sora already banned out. Oh, they do go Fredrin, but they go for the Zetian, who has been climbing up the ranks a little bit more. And it is the Haritha they decide to go for. They don't go for physical. I mean, with the high, yeah, they already had the Hayabusa Yuzong. They just decided to go for more magic burst here. I'm leaning a little bit more towards CFU here, but Zone does have a window. It's just very difficult to get through it.
Yeah, if it's just sheer damage and aggression, then on paper, Team Zone's lineup looks really, really good. But we really have to consider the amount of disruption, or even just the Lapu and everyone else diving in or into these backline heroes that Team Zone picked up.
Yeah, I think a lot of this early game is going to be dependent on the supports alongside with the EXP laners, right? Everybody else is going to be supplemented by how these two lanes are going to move. But as we start getting into the game, we're going to be answering all of those questions as the Land of Dawn opens up for these two teams for our very first best of 3 to kick off today.
And we have 3 overall for this day of Swiss, all of them eliminations. As we all know, it's so important to win game 1 in a best of 3 because that instantly puts you at match point. CFU or Zone again, type it out in the comments section who you think is gonna win this. And as always, let's look at the mid prio. Who'll be able to clear much easier and who will be able to keep their health at a better state.
Sing doesn't mind giving away priority in the lane itself, knowing potentially could be dangerous, and also speeding up Fredrin's initial clear. As you can see, it's always going to be a little bit slower than the Hayabusa overall, but that's going to be totally fine, right? We go into our first tech pause. Luckily, we did it in the first less than a minute, so no momentum built. It's all a good time.
Yeah, it's just so far the Zetian once again sort of really handling the lane pretty well. The range is just a bit too crazy. I know it's been adjusted a bit. And more than damage, I think if you're just capable of poking out the opponents in the middle lane early on, then that just grants you a really good advantage.
I think that's also one of the requirements if you want to make sure that Zetian's good with her mid-prio.
Yeah.
Or to even add more to that, just have Cho with you. Or any roam that has a concussive blast. They clear out the middle so fast that there's not a lot of room for you as a mid laner to trade. They're just going to clear, and then you're going to have to, all right, I guess we're going to clear, but then that means we're behind in terms of the rotations. Or they're not even going to rotate early on. Zetian's just going to keep throwing her skills at you, and then you'll be brought low, then forced to go back. It's not like the perfect 100% Zetian and Cho is always going to win, but it's not the easiest matchup to go up against it.
Yeah, and it's a great way to just stop all those early quick rotations you could get from a Farsa. Oh, what?
Look at how close that is. 3 votes difference. 3 votes difference, and you could be that part of those 3, chat. So please get on it right now.
Can I type both? Can I
What
type both and
happens
add
if
one
that
to
happens?
both?
This is why it's important to vote. See, look, it's so close. See, it's 2 more people voted, and it's still 3 apart. Who didn't vote?
I personally think it's one of the other teams who are like, sympathy. And then they voted for the other one and they realized, wait a minute, this doesn't change anything.
So
It's
you
still net
can
neutral.
vote for both.
It could be, it could be. Who knows, who knows? But with that being said, I do want to talk about the technicalities, about the, especially with the mid lane dynamic, right? I don't know whether or not people prefer the high loss over the Cho in these types of situations. At the end of the day, they both kind of do roughly the same thing, with Cho having better clear in the first like 3 minutes of the game. After that, it sort of evens out later on, depending on what the build usually is. But I think the main concern right now is if Cho or Boxy is able to get a trade out freely against the Farsa, that could slow down. For an example, if you see them shunpoing towards you, there's a pretty good chance you're going to hit wings by wings, and that's going to slow you down from taking the normal path of the river and having to go through the jungle.
Yeah, I feel like if the combinations of the heroes were just a little bit more different, we could have seen Team Zone pick up the Cho for themselves. But now that they had the Yu Zong as one of their first 2 picks alongside the Hylos, I feel like they were just thinking also that, hey, if we have the Cho and the Yu Zong, that's 2 dudes initiating, we have no one to peel for the backline. At least for one, if having either the Hylos or the Yu Zong, you can delegate. Either one's gonna stay and one dive, vice versa.
Oh. Wait.
Based on, I mean, based on the game state right now, I think they're playing it really, really well, both OP and as well as Boxy.
Oh, now that's the flicker forced out of OP. Not much he could do there. I get it. They were playing it really aggressive because they were winning out majority of the lane, but that's the Hayabusa you're talking about.
Yeah. And that's cool. That wasn't even a level 4 guy. That was just level 3. He just showed up with a shadow and immediately got OP.
And that's exactly what you want to do, right? And I think from OP's POV, it's like, I don't mind taking the first initial stun. He just wasn't expecting Zixora to gank him pre-level 4. So again, a bit of creativity, but more importantly, it's about execution. It's these smaller moments that you need to take to start building advantages. This is why I think the meta is so heavy on the playmaking, because it's moments like this that's going to allow TEAMZONE to fight for the turtle.
Yeah, now everything's just on TEAMZONE's side. The control, the rivers, no longer dominated by CFU, so we will be definitely seeing something here in this turtle fight. But Bankai, though, forced under his turret. Now there goes the Landshaker, stunning 2 people from TEAMZONE. Will they go for the counter engage? They are quite low, so TEAMZONE might have to reset for a bit.
They still have their ultimates. They can get back in there. They need Bankai to first start the jump and maybe target OP down, who just hit level 4.
What? Are they not going to reset this? That's the Black Dragon form already committed by Bankai. He's looking for a target. They're trying to go for Detective. Fury of the Phoenix already committed, but they're going after Kenny in the back lines. Kenny goes down. Detective takes the turtle. And despite everything that was committed, it seems like everything's going a bit too well for CFU as Bankai goes down next.
They lost the shape of the fight, and now they lose their purple buff for that as well. Wadu, with his second bravest fighter, has already dominated this side of the map, and this is what I was concerned about. The EXP laners now starting to fall behind from the side of TEAMZONE allows CFU to create more opportunities to force plays.
Yeah, unfortunate for Zone. I think that's just all experienced by CFU. They read the situation perfectly. They know that their gold laner will be able to join. That is the nature of the Claude now. First turtle, he can just come in the fight because of how fast he can get through the map. And TEAMZONE, I feel like they should have just called back. They needed that purple buff for their Hayabusa. And going up against a Fredrin, a Lapu, yes, we already saw the Landshaker, the bravest fighter, committal, and you have the Yuzong, but it's way too tough to make that fight work. It's so demanding of your team to get that turtle.
I guess they were just really banking on the Black Dragon form.
Yeah.
But even then, all other resources of CFU were available too. It's just the bravest fighter that they saw being used. There was still the Fury of the Phoenix and wave the dragon onto Zixora, but there might be no follow-up. Detective and OP couldn't dish out the right amount of damage, but still one will as well. Bright is still alive. K2 looking for a target in the mid lane, but they will not find any.
Can we get a replay of that? Oh my god, Boxy, what a sick Cho play. You blink, you miss it. How quick was that way of the dragon to guarantee that Zixora was not able to get his ult?
Yeah, on point. Zixora was already charging up the animation, but then Boxy was able to kick him back. And now CFU has a DHS for their Claude, which in 2026 January MLBB means power spike already. Just one item, man. Nerf him!
Wave the dragon, bravest fighter, all committed on the Bankai. Landshaker doesn't connect though, so he's still able to use the Black Dragon form. But the sustain you see from this Yuzong keeps him alive, but without that, TEAMZONE might not be able to contest this objective.
Yep, they have no Petrify to do it, and Zixora's maybe thinking of getting in on this. Bit of an awkward quad shadow there. I don't know what he was aiming at.
If it was older Hayabusa, that definitely would have been closer. But I'm pretty sure at this point he's definitely very familiar already with the quad shadow length. I guess he was just reaching for the stars at that moment. It felt like
He was hoping that somebody would just walk up into it, you know?
Yeah.
But you see Boxy right beside you, and I don't think you could stay for any longer.
He's already kind of made a name for himself at this point. There's a lot of respect going over to Boxy from the side of TEAMZONE. You can see that they get a little bit nervous when they notice his presence around the map, and I think that's something that's good, right? However, what are they going to use that leverage for? And I think at this point, now that there are no buffs left on the map to actually fight for, you can see that Boxy is proactively looking to either kick Bright or even Kenny.
Fury of the Phoenix cancels out the feathered airstrike. But Zixora still finds Boxy. Will OP get to find a trade? It seems like the damage and the range will not be enough. But then K arrives, and with the Salmon Force, will try to take down OP. But Wadu will provide some help. Bright 2 joining in with the Glorious Pathway, but now they see 3 members in front of them. Sing is just stealing the auto attack, so will the Appraiser's Wrath connect.
Bankai!
The knock-up from Bankai using the Black Dragon form as well. But Sing is still able to deal all the damage that he wants.
Oh my goodness, it's a game of cat and mouse in Sing, luckily preemptively flickering, knowing that the Xora is paying attention to the BMI. These are the moves that you want to see from our professionals.
Lots of focus at the center of the map. Seems like TEAMZONE, though, I feel like they could be a bit more active, or excuse me, proactive. But Zig's aura just has so much gravity towards it. Oh, the game!
Speaking
Oh
of
my
Zixora,
He can't be using Quad Shadow anymore. Xora must hold his Quad Shadow for as long as possible.
I didn't expect Boxy would be committing the flicker and the full combo, but in the end, that just completely snuffs out any rotation the TEAMZONE wants to have or any presence that they want to have in this map. 3 turtles will be going to CFU. K has been able to farm up well and is now one of the few ways that TEAMZONE can make a comeback through this. Feather of Heaven up for that Harith. CFU can just keep this up with their aggression. Now they look to help Sing.
yeah, but I have to say that they've been really aggressive so far too. I don't think there's been any instance where the flickers have been down or have been not used at all whenever there was a team fight. It's always Boxy, Sing, and OP aggressively making use of the resources that they have, and it's so TEAMZONE. You could understand how defensive they're starting to play everything, even with the Hayabusa in their lineup, even with this Hylos in their lineup.
Look at Detective. I really love the way that he builds on this Frederick. You should be looking for as many components as possible because the raw stats, look at him. He's level 10 and he's just beating him up. What are you going to do about it?
I like it when I see Fredericks like this. It's really just, yeah, I definitely can frontline. Even though I will be taking damage, it's fine. Like, at the end of the day, I'm going to end up hurting someone, and I do have the help, as long as the other members of the team are there. So good call by Detective.
Oh, Purify forced out.
Nice.
Okay. And that's it. They didn't commit the way of the dragon or anything.
That's exactly what they want because now they can set up a dive angle and you can tell, okay, he's like, nah, he's not about it. He does not want to show on the map anymore, knowing that Boxy could come on him at any time. I think they're also keeping track of the battle spell, so 10 seconds left until flicker.
Oh, Wadu's all alone here. Fury of the Phoenix, though, someone helps him there. Uses the flicker to reposition out. He's against 5 right now, but it seems like he'll be okay.
Yeah. Queen's Wings, second item for Wadu. That's crazy. Usually you go Oracle, but no, he just straight up goes for the Queen's Wings. And at this point, he will be very difficult to take down. So now you have both the Fredrin and the Lapu Lapu as heroes who can just front, soak up damage, deal a lot of damage, and survive at the end of the day.
The 2 main damage dealers that they're most concerned about is Kenny and K. Now that Zixora does have the Sky Piercer, maybe he's a little bit of a threat, but only if you are low. Prior to that, it's not doing as much damage as you would like to. Oh god.
Once again, Bankai in the bottom lane. Use
What? Just auto him!
It's okay. It's okay. He's alive. He's alive. That was a Black Dragon form, though, and we have a Lord.
They're gonna get the T2 off of this, and with this Lord as well, the snowball is not going to stop.
Okay, Boxy seems like he's a target. But they're just able to run away. They forced out the Glorious Pathway even. Now that's another resource down for TEAMZONE before the fight even breaks out.
Man, Boxy already used his Way of the Dragon, and he's still posturing as if he still has it. And now, Obri's trying again!
Wait, Wadu all alone! Still gets to finish off right! Now it's Bankai that they're trying to go after. Without the Black Dragon form, they're just gonna chase after him. But Detective says no. The call is different. They're gonna transition towards the Lord.
Queen's Wings Rush, way too good for CFU Gaming, and they have gotten all major objectives so far in this game, including the very first Lord. Wadu's still going. He knows that there's no one in TEAMZONE that can take him down this early. Yes!
Oh, Bankai, you gotta be careful!
Bang!
And there's nowhere to run! Now the Landshaker connecting once again for members of TEAMZONE on Wadu, but he will force them out of the turret, and that'll result into another casualty. Bright goes down as well.
Goodness. I told you, the EXP lanes are going to make a big difference in this game, and Wadu now developing a 3-level lead against Bankai. Bankai has lost his relevance. Even if he wants to get on top of OP, you can tell he still has his passive to knock him away. And even with the Petrify, it gets baited out early.
Whoa!
Wow!
The energy eruption into the Fury of the Phoenix! And with the Holy Shields, they're able to keep themselves safe out of the turret.
Detective, OP, Boxy, that was a sick combo. Whoever made that call, it could have been Detective who says, hey, I'm going to be able to get this this taunt off, get that Fury of the Phoenix down. There's a kick.
Hallway of the Dragon onto the tankiest member, and they don't care. Now it's Bankai next, and no front lines left for Team Zone.
And whoa!
And the blazing duet into the
Thank
winter
you.
crowd. Kay fortunately still alive after that, but it could have been much worse.
Dear God, the Cambodian playstyle with the snowball, they're so confident.
Oh, Zixora still
Ooh.
able to get something out of that.
Sing overheated a little bit there, though. He should not have given up that kill. Seems like the rest of CFU wanted to back off, while Sing wanted a little bit more. But thank you, Sing, for building a winter crown. We've been asking for this for all M7.
Yep. It's just expected at this point. We expect you to build that winter crown. We expect you to make these big plays of their own. However, looking at the state of the game, yes, it's a 4.5k lead, but it's not like Team Zone's completely out of it, right? They still managed to hold their inhibitor turrets. In terms of the raw items, Kenny's almost there. Zixora, yes, he's able to find 4 kills, but now, oh God, Boxy.
Okay, Fury of the Phoenix, that'll help Boxy. Wadu
Oh!
landing Landshaker onto, but the Fettered Airstrike, there's nothing to cancel it right now. But Wadu doesn't care. He still goes after
Wow.
Kenny, and he's able to finish the kill. Now the Black Dragon form forced out of Bankai as well, but he doesn't get to find anyone. Detective trying to go in. There's another
Oh!
flicker from Obi, and now they still want to go for the fight. The Blazing Duet once again dealing enough damage onto the members of Team Zone. Bright trying to run away, and so is everyone else, but Wadu stands in front of him and says you cannot go anywhere.
And that's the experience we're looking for. If Team Zone were to make the same play, I don't think it would have been as synchronized. CFU saw this from a mile away. Great awareness.
Okay, they get to dodge the bravest fighter.
Oh!
He couldn't dodge the damage. Better Dare Strike. They have to run away now. My goodness, Kay couldn't even last 2 or 3 seconds in his Zaman Force.
No, he could not. One of the few things Zetian is able to cover almost the entire, like 2/3 of the Zaman Force with just their first ability, so he will get shredded away ever so slowly.
And we knew this Harris pick would have difficulties. We thought they'd opt for range. We thought they wouldn't pick up the Harith, but they decided to lean in on it, and because they could not get the early game that they were looking for, especially since Bankai lost the lane against Wadu, Team Zone has just completely gotten out of their hands. They are playing solely through hoping that CFU Gaming will be able to make a mistake. With the itemization of Wadu up to the Oracle already, only up to the Holy Crystal, yes, but at this point you want a Divine Glaive on K. Now 4 items will be enough to make CFU Gaming wins, but if it's enough to win it is a different question. They're so tanky at this point.
They kind of are, right? I mean, they're stat checking, though. That's the whole point. And now that they're past the 42k mark, this is their last opportunity to try and go for an endgame scenario. Afterwards, it's just going to even out, and maybe Team Zone might pull through, all assuming that they don't lose this crystal off of the Lord push.
Yeah, because they're syncing up the waves really, really well. And it'll be a tall order for them to do that with all these heroes we initially did not expect them to bring out. It's not just the Harith, it's also the Farsas that we did not expect to see from them. But now they'll have to say goodbye to their first base turret. And there's another wave coming up in mid.
They got to guide that Lord down, right?
Team play.
Take advantage of it.
Okay, there's the BMI already. Boxy still not looking for a kit. Oh, I take it back. He actually finds it on one of the most important members at that. Zixora is down for this defense. And there goes another Bravest Fighter and Appraiser's Wrath combo. Sing going in 2. But he gets taken down by the turret shot. And now CFU lose their marksman.
We still have one more Siege minion though, but CFU Gaming will back off as Zone successfully defends.
They get to live. They get to live. There is nothing wrong with living and sacrificing all of your inhibitor turrets. The only problem is that now coming up for the next Lord in 66 seconds, they're going to be at a major disadvantage. It is not up to them anymore whether they are able to win this game or find that comeback. Let's look at the replay one more time at the very least, right? Because this defense really boils down to what is the most important thing. And yes, Boxy is still making these insane plays. I would argue that he's going to be the MVP by the end of it. But at the very least, Bankai finds a little bit of value while Kay is able to get in and out of these fights. This is how the shape of the fight needs to look like. Kenny is your anchor, and so is Kay. They cannot be using their abilities at the same time unless they can guarantee a kill on Sing.
Saying though he really needs his time and entry is just a little bit better. I know he was sending back the members of Team Zone, specifically Kenny, but he should not have eaten all those turret shots in the hopes that he'd be able to take someone down because they need him to lock in. OP also having the Winter Crown there was very clutch. Definitely Bankai could have just straight up blasted him, but he was able to Winter Crown away the passive of the Yuzhong.
Yeah.
And the combo, the full combo too.
I guess Singh didn't really notice that the turret shot was on him too.
Yeah, the man was so locked in with getting that kill. He really wanted that.
He wanted it, but now how do they even contest for this Lord, right? It's an almost guaranteed non-contestion for CFU. As Team Zone just locked in their base, unable to do much about it, right? If one of them get picked off at 60 minutes into the game, it's roughly like a 30 to 40 second, depending on who dies, respawn timer, which is pretty much game over at this point, knowing that the Lord is going to spawn in about roughly 10 seconds.
Yeah, CFU Gaming can definitely finish it off here unless errors again, a little bit of jitters or over eagerness to end it, leading to members of CFU Gaming, especially Singh or OP, maybe even Wadu falling down unnecessarily early. Zone, still, same condition. Wait for CFU and hope they make a mistake.
Wadu who's 714 by the way. On this Lapu-Lapu. And now Boxy once again, but he gets stunned by Bright. But nonetheless, look at the damage from the Blazing 2 into the Winter Crown! Singh is able to do so much, and now without any hesitation gets to lock on the towers. Game 1 finally goes over to CFU.
That was a beautiful adaptation right at the very end. They had already made sure that they have conditioned their opponents. Who comes in first? It's always Boxy. And if you don't stop him, guess what? You open up angles for everybody else to start trickling in.
Blazing Winter, very good. That's my analysis.
Yep. You use your stun as the high loss, and now everyone gets to go in whenever they want.
It's so good. And he even juggled that. He ended the game with Immortality. He juggled this Winter Crown Immortality just in case he got taken down. That was a great angle, great read by Singh, and now of course, Zone really have to go back to the drawing board here because I feel like that draft could have gone on differently. The last two picks feel like they just settled into, okay, what's comfortable for us? What is the best pick for us personally, but not for the big picture?
I feel like their big picture was too narrow, actually. Their first opening picks weren't too bad. The high loss did not necessarily need to come out there. And I think they could have waited for maybe even like third pick to see, oh, you picked the Cho first, and then maybe we look for a different opportunity later down the line. But at the end of it all, right, I wouldn't say that it's Bright's fault. I think a lot of it just boils down to where the rotation needed to go on the map. They were worried for K's life, and that is why they kept on leaning to that side of the map when CFU decided to try and blockade them through that river. But Bankai, if they just got him back one kill after the turtle fight, he might have go even against Wadu later down the line.
Yeah, it's been a consistent thing for Zone for the entirety of M7. Bankai's laning, Bankai's first or second turtle. Zone needs to help him out more. I think K and the gold lane is completely fine, but when it comes to the EXP lane, that's been the major pain point for Zone and what teams have now been looking at as the main weakness that they can focus on. And if Zone can't help their EXP laner, it's not going to be a good time for them.
Yeah, Bankai definitely struggled there. And it was very evident from the first turtle. And that's not how you want to see a Yuzhong, because you would assume that a Yuzhong in your team would almost guarantee you a first hurdle or two.
Yeah,
But that wasn't the case for this game in for Team Zone. But I guess it's a template they try to follow in terms of the draft, because I think for majority of their previous games, it's always been Bright's hero prioritized for first two. But that was the Gadot that we're talking about, and it's a bit different now.
It is a little bit different, but I guess it could come down to, is this really boiling down to experience? Because the only time I saw quote-unquote experience really start to come through was at the very end with all the built-up conditioning up until that point. The laning gaps were pretty obvious that it was going to happen. You could see the posturing happen from a mile away, and not to mention, it's not like Bright didn't know what was going on. He actually spotted out a majority of the members before they even got to the dive.
Right. They had the vision, they had what they needed, but they just could not make it work. And when they don't make it work in the early game, then Wadu is happy. with the itemization, how fast he was able to get his queen swings, and of course Detective as well. Who, one thing that I wanted to say earlier, but a fight broke out, was that the rotations of zone looked like it was so dependent on Zexora. They were looking at the Hayabusa that, okay, we can't do anything in the mid until our Hayabusa's here. While for CFU, you essentially had two roamers rotating.
Yeah.
It's Boxy going one way, it's Detective going another.
Yeah, yeah.
If Detective is here, Boxy's on another area getting vision and seeing who in the members of Team Zone are backing up and trying to defend the aggressive rotation from CFU. So it was a good juggle between the jungler and the roamer of CFU Gaming.
Yeah, hopefully this isn't this isn't a negative way to look at Zixora being the leader of the team, and I hope they get to address that moving forward, because we have Boxy as our MVP, who I think did a lot more than just those Way of the Dragon entries.
I think there's an argument that he probably should. They should ban it out. They should ban out this show. If not, take it for yourself, because he's doing so much for the team. He's making these amazing off-tempo plays, and I love off-tempo plays because he knows exactly the timing of, hey, if I do this right now, we get a non-contest for the turtle. If I do this now, we put Wadu in a much better position, and that's the beauty of it all. But I think it's time, boys and girls, let's look at the highlights and let's really break this down. Because as we see this game continue to progress, every single moment in this game is highly dependent on who gets those first initial kills, right? Let's pause right here at this initial turtle fight, because as we see the turtle fight about to progress, notice a couple of things. Number one, Bankai just hitting level 4, already going in with the Way of the Dragon. How would you attempt this fight? For majority of people, you're looking for people like Opie, for an example, to make sure that Detective is taken out of this fight. Both of which are really good examples of how you should probably play this Yuzong in a very traditional sense. But notice the shape of the fight on the very first turtle. If my little tools would just update real quick, I could show you exactly, because the north side of the turtle was probably going to be the worst part of this fight. Here is the kill zone for the side of Team Zone. Anything within this area of the map is within their portion of influence. On the opposite side, if, let's say, CFU just decided just for fun to move up this way across the map and stick around their influence zone closer to their mid lane. Oh, whoops. I would say roughly about here, is probably their most ideal zone to fight their opponents. Why, you may ask? With broken walls, you notice that Opie, as you see later down into the fight, actually moves in that direction. As you see him move into that direction, you notice that the fight gets completely split in half, with the backline having no access whatsoever because of this play, stretching Team Zone apart. And that's the beauty of Yuzong, but also one of his biggest weaknesses. He's allowed to overextend and sustain if he sticks onto his target. If he doesn't stick onto his target, then he's basically left out to dry. And this repeats itself throughout the game, allowing Boxy to be able to find these incredible kicks time and time again, knowing that he won't get punished, or at the very bare minimum, he's going to get a Petrify, he is going to get a Flicker. Great game overall, a good show of experience and conditioning from the side of CFU, but I think for Team Zone, their biggest adjustment right now has to be the laning phase and first turtle.
Yeah, I'm also wondering where the info was that the Claude was gone, because Team Zone fought that as if no one called it that the Claude was on the way.
Yeah.
And they should have known, because they saw him walk into the bush, so it's like, you know where they're coming from.
Yeah, and yeah, they had the Hylos there in the back, but it really feels like they just, I don't want to use the term disrespect, but for a moment they just forgot that the Claude was on the way, and it was the easiest Blazing Duet entry for Sing to just break it apart.
Yeah, and it's a Claude. So I think more than anything, you have to remind themselves that it's a Claude who already, in terms of priorities in the draft, is already very much up there, which is why it's first pickable. A lot of times we see it there. So they just left it open, and more than leaving it open, they left him all alone throughout the game. I feel like they have been a bit too reactive towards the XP lane too, and maybe that's exactly what CFU wanted to happen.
I think that CFU understood two things. Number one, if we're going to fight Zone, we have to fight them on our own terms, right? Let's deny Zixora as many pickoffs, solos pickoffs as possible. Let's really focus on making sure that Kenny and Kay don't really get to maximize their damage, right? I think Kenny is the only exception to that damage rule because he does have Feathered Airstrike, but Kay especially. Zaman Force, what happens? Who gets involved? It's either Detective catches him or Boxy breaks his Purify, making him extremely nervous, because if he gets hit by any CC without his Purify, it's guaranteed death.
I wish we also saw Zone take a little bit more of an SRG versus Team Liquid route here, wherein instead of going up against Team Liquid in the major objectives, they just decided, you know what, we're going to go for OHEM
Gold
instead.
lane, yeah.
Go for the gold lane instead. Your lineup that, yes, Zone has a case to say, we can fight and we should fight objectives because we have the Yuzhong. That was good for the first turtle. But after the first turtle loss and the continuous losses of Bankai, you definitely should have swerved and just gone to the gold lane or just get wins elsewhere in the map instead of like brute forcing your way to trying to make a comeback through the turtles alone.
Because even if you look at the heat map, Boxy rarely went to the gold lane. If not, didn't go to the gold lane at all. Because it was Singh who was always going to the fights. He was the one joining the fights. So that's how you know that the gold laner of CFU was just a bit too free. And now, whatever we mentioned about him and his presence not being felt as much here in M7, we didn't get to feel that in this game.
Well, I think that, especially for Boxy, his biggest priority is, yes, I'm looking to make plays, but it's always around the river. He's always he's always posturing himself